She mentioned voiceovers, MainJoe. Here we go. Here we go. Woo! Intro music.
Feeling good. Coming at you live and direct.
Brings it all alive.
YouTube, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to pretend like play radio, essentially. You know, when I was a kid, I played Cowboys and Indians, and I played Hot Wheels, and I played Fisher Price, and I played every version of reality I could think of, and you know, superheroes, all of it. And now I get to play radio, dude. Thanks to YouTube. Hi, you have reached the Two Joes podcast. My name is MainJoe. Over to my right is MoJoe. And welcome.
MainJoe, thank you for the intro. This is one of my favorite things to do. You know, we're still fresh. We're still new.
We're newbies
to the space.
Absolutely.
But you know, we've practiced. We've done.
We have done at least a dozen. Yep.
I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Me too. I can't wait till we get our first like. I'll probably piss my pants or something. Yeah. Oh my God, someone likes us. No, we're hoping to connect. We're hoping to inspire. We're hoping to, you know, maybe you'll want to start your own podcast once you see how lame we are at it. And we've got subscribers. You're going to say, I can do that. And you know what? You can. If you have an opinion, if you like talking, if you like hanging out with your buddies, do it. I highly recommend it. It's so much fun.
You got something to say, you know, feel free to say it. Some people will listen, some will not. Some will condemn you for it. You know, it's just part of being alive.
Exactly. But on the other hand, that's why we call ourselves the Two Joes podcast. You're MoJoe, I'm MainJoe, and we're trying our best to stay anonymous because, we don't want to be risking our livelihoods because of an opinion. And, you know, YouTube's a pretty big megaphone. If someone hears you voicing an opinion they don't agree with, shitty things can happen. So we're trying to stay anonymous primarily for that reason, but there are other reasons too. I mean, one of my favorite podcast / YouTube shows is Phil DeFranco, and he's had someone break into his house before because he's so big, and, you know, there's some weird people out there with a few screws loose. Sorry to say, it's true. Yeah. And so that's another reason why we're staying anonymous. So welcome. We're the Two Joes podcast. I'm MainJoe. That's MoJoe. And we're going to tell you how we see it because we're anonymous.
And because we want to know what you're up to. You know, it's we're just gathered like you are right now. If you happen to be listening to us live stream, you're sitting on a Memorial Day weekend. You're on a warm Sunday night.
We're not going to get it out that fast, dude. Memorial Day is past.
No, it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Well, again, I probably won't get this out until Wednesday or Friday. So I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. We are sitting here on a Sunday night on Memorial Day weekend, and it's beautiful here in the Salt Lake Valley. We'll tell you that much about us. We live in the Salt Lake Valley somewhere, and the snow-capped mountains and the sunny blue skies, the puffy white clouds, it couldn't get more picturesque.
Yeah, it really couldn't. You know, Salt Lake has ups and downs when it comes to weather.
All places do.
All places do. I was in St. Louis this week, and Jefferson City got hit very hard. I don't want to overstate, but even the capital had some stuff blown off of it.
Wow. Yeah, those Midwestern storms. I grew up in Minnesota, so I know a little bit about Midwestern storms, and they can get intense.
Yes.
You even had to be, I don't know what evacuated is the right word, but you had to go down into the basement there for a minute, didn't you?
Yeah, well, there were two incidences, if I may. The first was Tuesday night last, and the storm blew in, and it was dark and gray up above. The wind was howling. You could hear the whole the entire hotel was like moaning every time the wind would hit it. And at one point, the nice young lady who showed us the storm corridor, you know, on the first floor, the hallway where we're most safe.
Oh, okay.
She got some towels and went and put them under the doors in front and the sliding doors for the lobby. because the wind was so severe, it was blowing the rain entirely sideways.
Wow.
And it was coming up underneath the doors and starting to flood inwards.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
It was an intense storm. Intense.
Wow.
But well, and I think there might have been 1 or 2 deaths in Jefferson City.
Really?
Yeah, not far from us. That seems to be the way that you gauge a natural.
Sad but true.
How many deaths were there?
Yeah, that's too bad.
Whether they're Americans or Fiji natives in a mudslide, how many deaths were there?
Oh yeah, sure. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Wow, yeah, that was the night of the hockey game, the huge hockey game, St. Louis Blues versus. Why can't I remember them? Oh, I'm embarrassed now.
Go Sharks!
No, it wasn't the Shark. Was it the Shark? It was the Sharks. Okay, jeez. I'm sorry.
Okay, this is extra interesting.
Back up, man.
Yeah.
I do know who's in the final, though, Boston and the Blues, which is amazing because this is the game where Bobby Orr did his famous belly flop on the ice to win the game back in the day. This is like 50 years later. It's a rematch for the ages. It's pretty huge. It's pretty
Blues
huge.
have not been there in a
Dude,
long
I'm a little bit
time.
envious of you spending so much time in this city that just must be over the moon with excitement and anticipation and nerves and oh man, going back to the Stanley Cup playoffs, finals.
I expect to see marching in the street even when it's not a game day. It's that big over there right now. It's huge. It's exactly like Las Vegas was last year when the inaugural season
and you got to experience some of that too, huh?
No, I showed up a year late. It was the summer before. It was the season before.
Okay, yeah, you're right though. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But it's the same thing.
Yep.
Hockey is a big deal. It really is a big deal.
I'd like to say it's growing. I mean, they're getting a new team next year. Did you know that?
Who?
Seattle.
I did not know.
We're hoping for a Seattle-Vancouver rivalry. Mm-hmm. Gotta love those. That would be good, huh?
Cross-border, is that what they call it?
It would be one of those, yeah.
The Subway Series?
Kind of like Toronto and Buffalo. They're close proximity, so there's a little bit of a rivalry there. But it's more Toronto and Boston lately because they play each other in the playoffs usually right away, and so far, Boston's had the edge, so it's definitely a little pain in the side for Toronto. However, guess who's in the finals of basketball? Oh, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's very interesting. We just segued listeners from hockey to basketball, but that's where we are now.
Toronto is in the basketball finals. Is there a name for the finals of basketball?
NBA Finals.
NBA Finals, and is there a name for the trophy?
It's O'Brien. I want to say O'Brien.
The O'Brien Trophy? Interesting. I did not know that.
We got the Stanley Cup.
Lord Stanley Cup.
Yes. What's the Super Bowl trophy?
Vince Lombardi Trophy.
The Lombardi Trophy then, and baseball.
I have no idea.
What's the baseball trophy?
Get out your phone there, Jelly Bean. Help us out.
Jelly Bean. Help us.
She's part of this podcast whether she wants to be or not.
We're not.
We're not. So anyway, we'll get back to you on that one. Or leave it in the comments below. I'm sure you will, all one of you listeners.
So far.
You guys are killing me.
Good. That's what we hope to do. We hope to entertain and kill you out there. I hope you're laughing with us. A couple of average Joes talking about shit, talking about life, talking about sports, talking about whatever. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to have us talk about? Because I like to think of myself as a jack of all trades. I'm good at nothing, but I can do everything. I can golf. I suck at it. I can golf.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hit a drive over 200 yards. I can't do that consistently, however.
Can you do CPR?
Jelly Bean, I'm going to mic you up here in half a second.
Yep. She's refused thus far.
How are things, Mojo? Oh, my goodness.
How are things? I was just asked, how are things? And I have one word, and it's the right word, and it works. And people remember this word when they hear it. How are you? I'm capital.
I like that word.
Capital is a good word.
Capital is a good word.
Yeah.
I kind of want to bring back the word groovy. I don't know. Something about the word groovy I just love. I think when they ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to start saying groovy.
Groovy.
Just see what they say. You know, hey, I'm groovy, dude. I'm doing groovy.
Wait, how do you handle the other side then? When something bad happens and you feel bad and you want to say a bad word.
Good call.
You know,
good call. What can we call that?
Rats.
Wasn't that? I'm going to say, you know what? I'm processing some bad shit right now.
No, one word. One word.
Oh, one word. What would I
when
say? What's one word for processing bad shit? I'm processing.
Rats.
Rats is pretty good.
I hit bad golf shots today.
How about this? How about we go back to the Charlie Brown age and say, good grief.
That's where I got rats, too, from Charlie Brown.
Well, that's what it made me do. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He does say rats. I must have been why I went to good grief. Interesting.
And that, listeners, that is where MainJoe and I are of similar age and similar upbringing.
Yes.
Similar public television.
Yes.
As we were being raised.
Yes.
And think of the media input in our lives when we were that age wasn't near what it is today.
Right.
Media input is everywhere.
And look how influential it was in our lives. You know?
Yes.
We talked about Schoolhouse Rock the last 3 podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done some practice ones, yeah.
Yeah. We got to bring those into our jams at some point. Conjunction. What's my function?
I love
looking up words and phrases and claws out.
I couldn't wait to teach my daughter that one. But what tickles me is that your favorite one is one that I never really got that into.
I know the one you speak.
And that one was?
Well, I've got a friend named Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla. And Rufus found a kangaroo that followed Rufus home, so now that kangaroo belongs to Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla. I could say that, but I don't have to, because I've got pronouns. I can say, he found a kangaroo that followed him home, and now it is his, you see. A pronoun was they do take the place of a noun, because saying all those nouns over and over can really wear you down. Thank you, MainJoe.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. Thank you, Schoolhouse Rock. Thank you for whoever.
Thank you, Schoolhouse Rock.
Thank you for whoever financed that. That was so. I loved it so much. Conjunction junction, the lolly lolly lolly, all that stuff. I'm just a bill. They use I'm just a bill in comic shows to this very day on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that today America is the greatest country on earth. It built us up into what we are now. And MainJoe, you're a good provider, a good producer, and so am I. And so is Jelly Bean. And it's because of Jelly House Rock. I just said Jelly House Rock. Okay, take us away. I gotta go.
All right. I think he meant Schoolhouse Rock. So yeah. So basically, what I hear you saying is education, man. Education. And that, you know, I think you're right there. And I think our education is kind of going by the wayside to a degree. Now, I've got a 14-year-old daughter, and I really feel that I've provided her with the best possible education that I could. But guess what? I didn't do it in the public schools. I've paid good money for private schools to educate my daughter, and still do to this very day. Now, on the one hand, yeah, I'm glad that option's there. But on the other hand, I'm a little bit sad that our public schools aren't good enough so that I don't feel the need to do that so much. You know what I mean? So I hear every single campaign rally, every single campaign, they talk about education, how it's underfunded and how teachers are overworked and underpaid and they're using their own money to buy supplies. I've heard this for decades. Why does it never change? Do the politicians want us to be dumb? Maybe to some degree they do. Well, whether or not it's conscious or not. I mean, these guys. No, I just lost where I was going with that. Anyway, I hope you catch my drift, Marker. We're gonna phase on out of here because MJoe has left his post, and it's really, really difficult to keep a podcast going alone. I have discovered that multiple times before I even got Mojo involved in this. Mojo. I tried to do podcasts on my own, and they were like 5-6 minutes long. Doing a monologue for 20 minutes, like who were you saying the other day that who you admired? It was Rush Limbaugh, wasn't it? Something like that. I mean, this guy does what, 3-hour podcasts essentially, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And many of them do. It's you said it early. It's content. It's repeated content. That's the challenge. You got to do it every time.
Oh, it's definitely a challenge. You have to stay consistent. On YouTube, you do not succeed unless you publish on a regular basis. And that's our main medium right now. I hope to get an iTunes someday, but right now it's YouTube uploads only.
Yeah.
So if you found us on YouTube, congratulations. It was like a needle in a haystack, probably, I bet.
And
or maybe you just got lucky.
There's a chance that you start a podcast because you saw MainJoe and MoJoe start a podcast, then we did our job. That's what we're after.
That's one of the things we're after.
That's
definitely,
one of the things
definitely.
we're after.
You know, and we
get your voice out there.
If you listen to the last podcast, you may know that we met each other through jams. And one of my dreams is to help people or inspire people to jam more, because it's just one of the funnest things I do in life, one of the funnest things I've ever done in life. I've been doing it off and on for, going on 30 years, and it's just such a good time. And you make such good friends through it,
Can I ask you about your
ask
early,
away, bro.
Your jams?
My early jams?
Early, well before me. Well, no, I want to ask about all of them, right before me and well before me. Did you jam when you were 10, 12 years old with friends?
That's what I was just thinking of. Back then we had a tape recorder, and my mom and dad had these really cool microphones that had these little stands, and we would tape ourselves. And then later we got a little bit older, we'd do these, we'd try and sing along to songs, right? So one time we put on our headphones.
Like rock songs? Or
yeah, we put on our headphones, we sing along with the song into this tape recorder, and then we took our headphones off and we listened to the playback, and it was so flippin' funny. If you don't have feedback in your ears, it's kind of hard to hit a note. If you've never tried it, try it. You'll be surprised. So have you ever seen those people in recording studios where they got one headphone off their ear? Well, that's why. They need that feedback. They need to be able to hear themselves, or else it's really tough to sing well, So that was maybe the first experience I've ever had with trying to do music, a recorded music kind of thing. Yeah. Jamming, I guess, with the recording. But as far as the first jam, well, even back then, once we did that, we got better at recording ourselves, and we all were sitting out in my dad's pop-up trailer one hot summer Minnesota humid day, and we said, we should write some songs. I mean, Rod Stewart's got this song called Passion. It's one of the stupidest songs I've ever heard in my life. I can write a better song than that, coming from a 10-year-old, right? So we all always said, yeah, let's write some songs. So we all wrote our own songs, like maybe 3 or 4. And so I came up with this song called Noisap, which is passion backwards. I had to make fun of that song. I couldn't stand that song. I like Rod Stewart. I like a lot of what he does. Noisap.
2 S's in that word.
Yeah.
Noisap.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was probably my first experience of writing songs and getting into music, and off and on from there, man.
Mm-hmm. You remind me of the movie Amadeus right there. Any listeners, please let us know.
I love that movie, but it's been a long time since I've seen it. Yeah.
Tom Holtz played Mozart, and there was the scene where Salieri was trying to find out who the hell is Mozart and where is he, and they're playing his music in the other room, but I don't know who he is, and he was crawling on the ground under tables chasing his fiancée.
He was a little quirky.
Yeah, he was a quirky man.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he did the backward speech.
Did he really? Yeah, I did not know that.
It was in the movie. I have no idea how real it is.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I don't remember the movie well enough. That's a pretty good memory there, dude. How long has it been since you've seen that movie?
Oh, probably 5 years since I've watched it front to back. And I didn't see it when it came out originally in theater. I saw it like 10 years after it came out.
Interesting. Wow.
And absolutely loved it.
It was very good.
One of the
Thumbs up for me, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The director of that movie. Do you remember the director of that movie?
No.
He directed a couple of others that you might know. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Did you ever see that film?
I've never seen the film, but I've heard it's amazing. I have seen the play, though, and the play was like, whoa.
That'd be cool.
It was intense, man.
Dude, I love live theater.
It's the best. I mean, for me, it's really taken over movies. I don't go out to movies anymore. I pretty much just see plays.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
And listeners, there are more playhouses out there than you think.
Especially in the Salt Lake Valley. We have a thriving community out here.
Yeah.
We got playhouses all over the place.
Yeah.
It's really great.
They're
really
hard
great.
to find, though. They don't have brochures and neon flashing signs.
Well,
and
advertising's
everything,
tough. A lot of it's word of mouth, isn't it? Got to get that word of mouth out there.
You know, one I want to see, MainJoe, is the Book of Mormon, the play.
Oh, I would love to
on
see
Broadway.
that. I would love to see that.
That toured through here. That was
Did it
here.
really?
It did,
oh, I'm
about
so
a year
sorry
ago.
I missed it, man. Someday, it's on my bucket list, dude.
Yeah.
I need to see that because that was from the creators of South Park, was it not? Those guys are so flippin' talented and just
They really are.
what a perspective they have on life in this America, United States. You know, it's just the way our weirdness.
They're crude and crass. So if you have a problem with crude and crass, then don't pay attention.
I just think
to
they
them.
have a great way of pointing out some of the silly things we do in this life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Big fan of South Park.
Yeah. I don't watch enough of it. You know,
I don't either.
Days are short,
Yeah.
but I know how talented they are. And I remember when they first came out, a friend of mine, I think it was at the U at the time, back in the late 90s. Did it come out? He said, "Oh, you got to see this, dude." My dad,
Early 90s. Early 90s.
Was it early 90s? His dad had showed it to him, and he was like, "Oh, you got to see this guy, see these guys." And so funny,
Yeah.
so good.
And I assume Kenny still dies in every episode.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah, I know he did a few episodes. He died, didn't he? Very nice.
Couple of them. Couple here and there. Yep.
Oh, man. Well, hey, you know what? We're right about our sweet spot, so I'm going to go ahead and say thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Comment down below. What do you want to hear us talk about? Share some experiences you've had with us, and let's be friends. We're your internet friends.
Internet friends. That's wonderful, MainJoe.